Hi, Peg Leg Page here, the 1 Foot Gamer. How's it going, everybody? I'm doing pretty good myself. My last video really started to take off and get some more viewers, more than I thought it would, so thanks to all my new subscribers. Today, I think we're going to talk about what the sheer existence of wizards would do to your medieval, your Renaissance, whatever, to your pre-industrial world. Because most campaign worlds sort of totally ignore what the sort of powerhouses that wizards can be. A lot of fiction does well with it sometimes, in the few stories in which magic is rare, but wizards can have a huge effect on the world. Even the lowest level ones. They would change the entire landscape of that medieval world. And because of their power, both the wizards and people of power would have to largely remain secretive and hidden just to stay alive. Now, people are often thinking of their low-level wizards as some sort of one-shot magic item, goes off once, and then it's just dead weight. You know, like, oh, yep, Amunzo cast his sleep spell, now he's useless for the rest of the adventure. When in reality, they're looking at it wrong. Instead, this story could instead be all about getting Amunzo to the right place and the right time to cast that single spell. And that could be the climax of the movie, or the story, or the adventure, or whatever else you want to call it. I'm going to look at some spells that are particularly powerful that low-level wizards can use. And I decided to only look at the D&D Rule Cyclopedia for the spells, because that is the shortest spell list, and it contains quite a lot of the world changers. There's nothing really in the Rule Cyclopedia that's not in other versions of the game, as far as low-level spells go, but newer versions of the game add many more low-level spells, and this didn't need to. If I would have, looked at every spell in every version of the game is low-level, this could be a 3-hour video, which you probably don't want a 3-hour video, do you? I don't want to edit a 3-hour video. No, thank you. Okay, first we'll start off with the classic. Charm Person. Now this, is going to let you make somebody your best friend. The uses are very obvious. You can directly control people. And note, your chance of success on a normal human is like 80%. Like they need a 16 or a 17 to make that save against the spell, so it's usually going to work. And I don't know if there's anything in the rules that actually says if the person makes their save, whether they actually know what kind of effect was trying to happen. Because the wizard could just easily say, oh yeah, here, I'm going to put my blessing on you, and then cast the Charm Person. And then they fail to save, they're like, oh yeah, the blessing didn't work, I'm sorry, or even say the blessing did work. Now, you can either use your charm in your direct way to, have your friend do all sorts of things for you, or it can, solve a lot of problems extremely temporarily. It can do accomplish all sorts of crimes or heists or anything else for this. Want to get that friend out of jail? You just go in there, charm the jailer, he's out. Even if the jailer is very, you can even work around the jailer's own sense of loyalty by coming in, charming the jailer. Your wife's very sick, she needs you. Here, give me the keys, I'll watch the jail until you get back. And then you let your friend out of the jail. Or you could use many castings of the spell more subtly to help the character climb socially and in power levels. That first level mage could rise from just being a nobody to being the top advisor of the king, just in a series of charming the right underlings to put him in the right place at the right time. First he needs that really fancy suit to fit in at Royal Palace. So first, he charm a tailor to make the suit for you. Then he needs to get in. You either charm the person who sends the invitations, charms the people person who lets people in the door. And since these people are nobodies, their stories probably won't be believed, or if the wizard does it the right way, the characters may not even ever realize they were charmed or know who charmed them in the first place. And just a series of that. Now he's, got access to the palace. Charm somebody else. Suddenly, he got an invitation to sit at the king's table. Didn't come from the king, it came from whoever was setting the seating arrangements. Before you know it, you were the king's right-hand man, and you never charmed the king himself or anybody of important. The existence of the spell is obviously going to create a huge environment of distrust and just pure paranoia around anybody who is important enough to be charmed. This charm person is probably, along with the next one here, is probably the most powerful spell in the game in some ways. Well, at least as far as widely available spells. Obviously it's not going to beat a wish spell. Then our other one, which is, I think, equal to charm person, is magic missile. This is absolutely one of the most powerful spells of the game, and continues to be as the character rises in level. People just often overlook it because it's not very good at taking down ogres, giants, or dragons. But oh boy, is it good to just let that wizard absolutely assassinate or kill a normal human from up to 150 feet away. The distance is going to vary by the addition of the game. Matter of fact, I calculated the odds of success here. I used the Rules Cyclopedia rules when I did this. The other versions of the game will have slightly lower odds at first level, but the odds basically go to 100% at third level of just taking out a normal human who isn't a martial type. Your normal humans who have your D6 hit, your D4 hit dice. Your peasants. Or not just peasants. I think, depending on your version of the game, I think most of your humans have D4 hit dice. Or D6 at best. Okay, running the numbers, that first level wizard has an 87% chance of just successfully assassinating a normal human with that spell at range. The consequences of this? The sheer existence of magic missile means that those in power are never going to appear in public or in a crowd. Remember, the characters and people of the world themselves, they do not understand hit points. They don't know how many they have. All they know is that a wizard casts that spell on a man, and then the man falls over dead. So, even if that king actually is a 6th level warrior, he doesn't understand that magic missile spell from the 1st level wizard isn't going to kill him. Unless he happens to have been hit by them multiple times, and then he might not have a fear of them. That's up to you to judge, or he might just still think he's been incredibly successful, incredibly lucky, because, every once in a while you cast one at a peasant, and the peasant lives. Every once in a while, because the peasant had 4 hit points, and you pegged a 1 on both your damage die rolls. Wait a minute, that still does 4 damage. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Next one up. Sleep. Sleep is often the favorite spell of your 1st level wizard anyway. But what sleep is going to do is it ensures that relatively small groups of guards and soldiers can just be removed 100% of the time. You might not be able to charm or magic missile that princess inside of her carriage because you can't see her. So thus you can't target her. But one sleep spell is going to knock out all of her guards. And sleep is also allows for near perfect burglaries, kidnappings, all sorts of other crimes. Matter of fact, a 1st level mage with the sleep spell is a better thief than the actual thief is. You've got to add a lot of levels onto a thief before he becomes a better thief than a 1st level mage who has sleep. The combination of those 3 spells alone make a 1st level wizard a nightmare wild card in society. Those in power would live in constant fear of them, while the wizards themselves would absolutely need to keep their identities hidden at all times just to avoid being murdered by crowds of peasants. Oh, there he is. There's that guy. He can point his finger and kill you. He can take control of your mind. And that's 1st level wizards. 2nd level wizards, they're just a tiny step up from the 1st level ones. Because at the bare minimum, they've got a second spell to back their first one up. They can do two things. Or now do combination, tricks. Do things that it might require two spells to do. Your third level wizards, they're going to take it to that next level. They not only have several spells they can cast now, I think they can 3 per day at a bare minimum. They should now have enough hit points that they're not normally going to die from, getting hit with a spear or somebody shooting them with one arrow. They're usually going to live through that. And let's start looking at what spell-wise a third level wizard can do. Continual Light. While that can transform city areas and society, that is just a net plus, and that makes the wizard a nice guy, I guess. But it's not that terrifying, unless they're casting the reversed version, Continual Darkness. Continual Darkness is just a tool of chaos. Can you imagine this? The wizard just cast this spell, and there is now a permanent 30-foot radius sphere of perfect darkness someplace that no one is going to be able to remove unless they can somehow get a friendly caster to remove it. The wizard decides, I'm going to cast it on the city gates. I'm going to cast it in the town square. Oh, look, the doors. Somebody's walking out of the castle. I'm going to go ahead and target right inside that open door while it's open there. Now, 60-foot sphere of darkness inside the castle. I'm going to cast it on the bridge over the river. Make everybody terrified to use it. And since you continue to do this every day, you can put an entire city under a spell of darkness if the wizard wants to. Just over time. Your third level wizard's going to have ESP, or he could. Nobody's thoughts are safe anymore. Everything is going to have to be coated in lead. At least the more powerful people will do that, but that's assuming that they know that lead would be a defense against ESP. I don't think that would become common knowledge. I just don't, because first off, I don't think it's the most common second level spell a wizard would pick, and wizards would guard the knowledge of that downfall of the spell with their lives. And ESP is going to allow the caster to accomplish so many things. Much like Charm Person, ESP can allow a character to easily socially climb to the top of society, easier than Charm Person, because it's easy to become the king's best friend when you know his every thought. Or you can use it to attain massive wealth. It could be via blackmail, could be cheating at gambling, finding out about business deals before they happen, knowing what price that merchant would really be able to pay, anything like that. I'm sure you could think of the things you could do with ESP. Our other really big one, Invisibility. Now, your classic D&D invisibility is permanent until the invisible creature attacks or casts a spell. There's not a lot of goals that you couldn't accomplish with permanent invisibility. You could even get around the no attacks limitation by placing traps, placing poison, the wizard could perform other acts of sabotage. An invisible wizard with a backpack full of traps, poison, maybe a saw, a few tools, could wreak havoc on, say, the inhabitants of a castle. And he wouldn't be found. Not if he's, smart enough to just not get bumped into. Your next one, Knock. No door secure anymore. The wizard can simply get through any door. Now, other spells can get through doors as well. Knock can get through it. Of course Knock can get through a door. Charm the right person, you can get through a door. Invisibility, you can get through a door if anybody ever goes in and out the door. Just gotta wait and follow them in. But if nobody else is around, you just cast the knock spell. Now there is locking and barring, but that only tends to happen in the sort of doors that have people behind them. You can't bar the door behind your treasure chamber unless if there's no one inside it. So the things that you really want to open, they're going to open to knock. Your next one that I bet your PC never memorizes, locate object. Think about this. Nothing you're looking for can remain hidden from the wizard long term, unless the area that it might be in is just massive in scope. And even if he's looking, because what locate object does is it is going to point you in a straight line to where that item is, as long as it's within range. It doesn't tell you how far away it is, so you still have to find it along that straight line. But for small or well-hidden items, the wizard can just cast the spell, step about 20 feet, 30 feet to the right, cast it again. Then he can just draw the lines in his head and go to the spot where they intersect, and that's where that item's going to be. In addition to finding a specific item that you might need to find, the wizard could also just use it to fish for common sorts of valuables, you know. Oh yeah, locate object, nearest gemstone over 2 grams, or nearest gold bar. You know, whatever he needs to do to accomplish his goals, locate object could help do it. Now, your next one, Phantasmal Force. Now, I think this is a first level spell in a lot of versions of the game, but this is a wildly useful general illusion that can accomplish a lot of things. But one thing it can do that can put it on level of like 9th level spells is that this spell can be used to create chaos in densely populated areas. I mean, of course, there's the obvious thing of, oh, I'm going to create an illusion of a dragon rampaging through the city. Or you could create an illusion of somebody in power appearing at a window, giving a speech that would incite a riot or a panic. You know, my people, my scouts have reported a wall of orcish warriors only 2 hours away from the city. Their number is uncountable. The depth appears endless. This city is lost. We must evacuate immediately. Now, sure, 15% of the people who see that are going to disbelieve it, but the other 85% are going to panic and spread the word immediately. And that dozen people at most who disbelieved it, no one's going to listen to them in the overwhelming wave of panic that's otherwise going to happen. They'll probably end up fleeing themselves because they're going to second guess their own experience because they'll be too caught up in what's going on with everyone else. Now, your 4th level wizards, they're just better 3rd level wizards. The major improvement is that almost every 4th level wizard has nearly 100% chance of surviving any single normal human weapon attack thrown at them. I'm not talking like a raging barbarian. I'm talking about, you know, that city guard, dude with a sword, guy with a bow, makes an attack roll against them. Their survival chance against that single attack is going up to nearly 100%. Just because they have enough hit points to survive being hit that one time. Because they don't have any armor class. If you're putting armor class on wizards, most of the time you're doing it wrong. Because unless, you know, your wizard's whole thing is about trying to have armor class, which is hard to do in classic D&D, then anything powerful is going to hit them anyway. You just need to not be hit by powerful things. In the game I'm playing in right now, I think our wizard has an AC of 10. He couldn't, and I built this character for him because he wasn't there to build it himself, and he couldn't believe that I did it that way until he realized somewhere there about 7th level, a whole lot of sessions in, that he had finally been attacked for the first time. You know, a melee attack had finally been made against him for the first time when he was 7th level. Now your 5th level wizards. This is the last level I'm going to look at here. Largely because there used to be an article in Dragon Magazine back in 1997, the year I was born, and that article made a very convincing argument that Gandalf from Lord of the Rings was only a 5th level wizard because he never did anything that a 5th level wizard couldn't do. Now, what can your 5th level wizards do? They can use clairvoyance. They can spy through the eyes of anybody close by. And there is no savings throw against this effect. Now, there were already better espionage tools at lower levels than this. You know, your charms, your sleeps, your ESPs. But this is really good for fact-finding, and you have basically zero chance of getting caught using clairvoyance. Although I don't think clairvoyance is going to be the climax of the story, the way some of these other spells could be. But it's certainly useful. Fireball. Essentially, this is going to kill everyone in a 40-foot diameter sphere, and can do so from 240 feet away. The average damage rolled from even the 5th level caster is going to kill all 1-hit die creatures, even if they make their saves. So the only way anybody's standing from this is, if the caster just absolutely pegs his damage extremely low, then you might have a few, of your tougher 7 and 8 hit point peasants still hanging out, but everybody else is dead. Only people with class levels have any chance of living through a fireball. Lightning bolt is the same with a different shape. And remember, people are going to be terrified of this effect. Nobody's going to understand how many hit points they have or anything like that, or that they have any chance of living through this effect. Even, a high-level warrior, unless he actually adventured with a wizard or whatever, his experience at fireballs is fireballs get cast on people and then people are dead. That fireballs get cast on orcs. Orcs are dead. Fireballs get cast on ogres. Maybe ogres are dead, maybe ogres aren't dead, but ogres aren't people. Your next one is fly. Now, fly doesn't have the duration to make overland travel easy, but it's really useful for getting into difficult locations. You need to infiltrate the castle, and you're not doing it via invisibility or charm person or any other methods, or you just need to make it to a specific spot in the castle. Fly up to the top of the princess's tower, go right in through the window. Or, window's locked, fly up to the top there, and cast charm person through the crack and then have her open it up for you. Problem solved. Now you can do whatever it was that you were flying up there. I'm assuming you had to warn her of some dire trouble, or she's really an evil princess, or who knows. All right, your next one, haste. Now everybody knows haste is like this banger of a combat spell because, extra attack, double your movement rate. But what people don't realize is, at least in old versions of D&D, haste is incredible at pulling off different sorts of heists, shenanigans, crimes, and other various things. Because you're going to both double the movement rate and action rate of a group of up to 24 people for a half hour. So basically, your whole crew can outrun everyone and do 2 actions for every single action anybody acting against them is going to do. Doesn't that make stealing the crown jewels sound a lot easier? Or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish happens a whole lot easier if you get 2 actions for every action that the people opposing you are, and then the people opposing you are unable to catch you when they chase after you. Now, we're going to bring Magic Missile back because it changes up at 5th level. The level at which you get different missiles is different in different versions, but the 5th level caster gets 3 missiles in every version of the game that I've looked at. And the 5th level caster can take out normal humans with a 100% chance of success. Your normal peasants who are not going to have more than a D6 hit die at best. Your minimum damage is now 6. You got them. That's you pegging a 1 on your roll on all 3 die, which is D6 plus. It's D6 plus 1 in Beck Me, and it's D4 plus 1 in most other versions of the game. Not sure what it is in White Box. But the average damage of that 5th level magic missile, at least in Beck Me, is Rule Cyclopedia, is 13.5. That makes it highly effective against characters with levels as well. You might just take out another wizard with 1 shot of this spell. 2nd level fighter, 2nd level cleric, you might very well take him down. 1 casting. And once again, that solidifies that knowledge to everybody in the world that magic missile hits somebody and that somebody dies, making the wizard all the more terrible. Now, protection from normal missiles. You're going to use this either as part of a balanced heist or operation of some sort, or it's just going to be an incredible defensive spell for the wizard himself, because this thing has a 2-hour duration. If the wizard has this spell up, then all he has to do is stay out of melee combat. This is particularly good if it's going to be combined with some sort of magic missile-based plot. Now, in all of this, I've been making the wizard sound like he's some evil type of person who's looking to take out the king, but remember, this is just as easily used to take out the bad guy. The big bad, the evil overlord. It doesn't have to be the king. So how your protection from normal missiles works in your magic missile plot is that the wizard gets that pro from normal missiles up. Then he just gets himself in the right place to be able to cast that magic missile on his target. Then, it doesn't matter how many archers are guarding the target when the target comes along. All he does is he casts his magic missile, and then his next action either casts fly or goes invisible. And he will absolutely escape as long as he started outside the melee range of anyone. Which a great way to do it is, get up on a roof, up in a tree, up in a tower, where somebody just can't attack you with a sword the second you cast the spell. Cast your second spell, and then no one can find you. And the last one to talk about is water breathing. It's actually the most nice, happy, friendly spell on this list, but it can be used to make a fortune because it can be used to salvage wrecked ships. That's probably not even illegal in most places. It's probably best used in combination with charm minions, though. That way the wizard gets 100% of the take, and he doesn't have to worry about the rest of the crew deciding to take him out in his sleep. Alright, I think I've droned on about low-level wizards for way too long. If you know anybody who drones on for way too long, why don't you tell them about this channel? Thanks, and I hope to see you again soon.